Late last year, many of our newer top-level teams made a name for themselves through looty and tournaments. Since then, however, the distance between mid and high level has only gotten bigger. In a small region like OCE, the skill gap will always be large. However, this isn't the only reason that there is such a large skill gap between Orcus players and non-Orcus players. Alright, let's define this gap. This is a list of the current active Splatoon 3 teams, and this is it color-coded. The red means they are low ink band, and the yellow means they are from the ink up band. This is a list of Orcus requirements. The current active Orcus player base has usually achieved 2 or more of these things. When comparing these side by side, you begin to see the gap. While currently there are no high level teams active, a pickup from Orcus is usually stronger than the strongest non-Orcus teams. Why is this bad in the first place? Of course an Orcus team is going to be stronger than a low level team. This has caused a complete stagnation in the high level scene. During AUNZ, we had 6 active teams comprised of Orcus players. This high level activity has not been seen since, as all of these teams have either disbanded or gone on hiatus. Even with this stagnation, there have been no new Orcus level teams since January. While some players have been added since January, no teams as a whole have gotten into Orcus together. Strong teams like Miasta Chance, Fruity, and Krill Switch, there isn't one team at mid-level that is a clear cut above the rest. This is not a new thing, however, as this has existed for the entirety of Splatoon 3's lifespan. Here are the results for Oceaning Series 9. At the top of Div 2 we have Instant Ink, who placed silver bracket in from the ink up. At the bottom of Div 1 we have Team Zaza, who won low ink at the beginning of that year. Next we have Ludi, which happened in mid to late 2023. The gap here is relatively close. We have teams from Div 4 to Div 11, with only a gap in Div 5. However, this could be a result of underseeding, as this was OCE's first proper Ludi, as Season 13 happened too early in Splatoon 3's lifespan. Ludi's Season 15 is where the gap started to become obvious. From this post here, we have 3 teams in Div 1 and 2. The next full OCE team is in Div 7, with C-Sharp Stars and Krill Switch. At this time, there were many high-level events, such as Frostbite League and AONZ qualifiers. However, due to this massive skill gap, many lower-level teams were left feeling demotivated. Many competitive players like to use the analogy of climbing a ladder. In an ideal setting, Div 1 and Div 2 would be relatively close. However, the reality is that most Div 1 teams are leagues ahead of Div 2 teams. Oceaning Divs 2 to 4 can often fit within 1 or 2 Ludi divisions. This has caused low-level OCE comp to feel terrible. You will often have to spend hours of your week losing to high-level teams until you can even stand a chance at beating them. A lot of older top-level players had to go through the same thing. Why is this the case? Why have some players advanced and others not? When I asked the community, usually one of 3 answers came up: a lack of initiative, a lack of high levels and low levels interacting, and an inability to play the game. Let's go over the inability to play the game first. Up until recently, Zones Weekly was the only active OCE tournament. While this tournament is good, it is not in a competitive format, as it is Swiss. When asking for advice on how to improve, many players are told to play overseas. However, for many that is not a feasible option. Most overseas tournaments happen at very unfavorable times for OCE. Things like low ink happen at 3 AM on Sunday and Monday, and tournaments like Swimmer Sync or Prison Break happen on weekday mornings. When taking a look at our Orcus requirements again, you can see where the gap comes into play. Many Orcus players have achieved great success outside of OCE. However, most players cannot wake up at 3 AM on a weekday to play competitive Splatoon. Next, high levels and low levels generally don't mix in a competitive environment. From a high level perspective, playing with low levels or against low levels is not a good use of time, especially when motivation is running low. They would much rather play against an opponent that challenges them rather than one they can curb stomp. As a result, low levels only end up playing with other low levels. Generally, if an Orcus levels team scrims with a Kraken's level team, the Kraken's level team will have very little counterplay, as usually it is down to mechanics. Setting aside time to play Splatoon, a game you enjoy, and losing over and over can be incredibly demotivating. This is why usually Kraken scrims are accompanied by a skill cap. Moreover, this can come down to where you have friends in the scene. Oftentimes friend groups will improve together, therefore high level is usually one friend group and low level is usually another. Are there solutions to this problem, or will we be stuck as a divided region? Many have suggested playing with Southeast Asia, which currently is a very underrepresented place in OCE. Another suggestion is to encourage high levels and low levels to make teams together. An idea that has already been put into motion is more tournaments. As of late, many more tournaments have been popping up. This encourages activity in the scene. None of these ideas are perfect, however, they can start to bridge the gap. If you have ideas about how to bridge the gap, please leave them in the comments below. I would love to hear some more ideas. To ensure the longevity of the Oceanic community, bridging the gap is very important. Thank you for watching the video. I've been Koa, and see you next time.